Hello and welcome to the Personal Touch in Peters Township. My name is Toni Sulkowski and I am the hostess for this show. The Personal Touch in Peters Township is a show about how our wonderful residents are reaching out to help others, both within our community and outside of it. Many of us are blessed and fortunate to have the time, the talents, and the means to provide a helping hand to others who find themselves in difficult situations. Today's show will highlight one special way in which two groups from within Peters Township are volunteering to assist the Pittsburgh area blood supplier, Vitalant. We all have blood coursing through our veins and throughout our bodies. The main function of blood is to act as the body's transport system, but it also has a major role in the body's defense system against infection. These essential blood cells suspended in plasma fight infection, carry oxygen, and help control bleeding. Blood is made up of several components: red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. Each of these components has a very specific and important job. Blood is grouped into four types: A, B, AB, and O. Each type is also classified by an Rh factor, either positive or negative. Every day in the United States, patients in hospitals, surgical centers, and emergency treatment facilities need approximately 36,000 units of red blood cells, 7,000 units of platelets, and 10,000 units of plasma. About 6.8 million volunteers give blood in the United States, which is nearly 26% fewer donors than at the last decade's beginning. The result is nearly 4.2 million fewer donations every year. Keeping this information in mind about blood, it is nice to know that there are people in our area who care enough to donate blood. In Peters Township, we have two places that support the efforts of Vitalant, the nonprofit organization that provides the means and resources to procure much-needed donations. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today Pastor Tom Moore from Center Presbyterian Church, Myra Oleynik, the Peters Township Library Director, and Kristen Lane, who's the Marketing Director for Vitalant in our area. Center Church and the Peters Township Library work with Vitalant on a regular basis. So welcome. It's nice to have all three of you here representing your respective organizations, because we want to learn more about Vitalant and their efforts here, and to encourage residents in our community to go to Center Church and to go to the library and donate blood. I'm going to start out with Kristen today, the Marketing Director from Vitalant, and ask you to share a brief description of Vitalant from the national to the local level, if you could.
Toni, I'd love to. We are a nationwide blood collection organization, and we basically have blood centers all over the United States where we collect on a local basis, but if other blood centers within our network need blood, we're able to quickly and effectively share that blood.
So it's just not restricted to Pittsburgh area then?
Well, that's an interesting question. Pittsburgh is very unique in that we have had a 50% decline in blood donations over the past 11 years. So we are not in the position where we are able to share our blood with the other organizations that make up Vitalant. Conversely, we have to import or basically buy blood from other organizations because we don't have enough donors here in Western Pennsylvania to provide to all the patients in the hospitals that we supply, which, by the way, are all of the Allegheny Health Network hospitals as well as UPMC.
So we have a very critical need there in our area.
We really do.
For the blood supply. So how did Pittsburgh, which I understand used to be Central Blood Bank when I was growing up, become interconnected here with Vitalant?
We were actually acquired by Vitalant about 2 years ago, and Vitalant used to be branded as Blood Systems, and they did acquire a number of blood centers all over the United States and unified all of them under one name. So now, as I mentioned before, we're part of that big network. We were Central Blood Bank for 60 plus years. We have the same staff, the same wonderful locations, the same technology and blood transfusion services. We just have a new name.
Okay, so we have to get that name out. And Center Church, located here on Center Church Road in Peters Township, is one of the organizations that helps to sponsor blood drives in Peters Township. We have with us Pastor Tom Moore here.
Thank you.
And
Welcome.
could you tell us a little bit about how your church became involved in conducting these blood drives?
Sure. First off, thanks for having me here. This is great to be a part of this conversation. We began our process a number of years ago. I tried to ask our office manager and a few folks, key leaders in the life of the church, how long we've been participating, and nobody could quite remember exactly when, but the church has long had a desire to be a part of the community and to be in the life of the community, and we have ample space. And so one of the opportunities that came up a number of years ago was partnering with then the Central Blood Bank, but now Vitalant, and we've continued to do it because we find it to be an important part of being a part of the community, and if we have space that can be used for outside groups, we want to be able to share that with folks, and so that's part of the roots and why we've continued to do it over the years.
And it's an ideal location.
Absolutely.
Also, it's easy access to get to as well. And so now the library also does some blood drives as well. And Myra, how did the Peters Township Library become involved in that?
Well, like Pastor Moore said, we also want to help elevate quality of life. And in the library world, there is something known as PA Forward, and it is a set of 21st century initiatives to improve and move Pennsylvanians forward. So health literacy is one of those initiatives, and by having a blood drive, as you've mentioned, is a way to not only help our own citizens here in Pennsylvania, our local community, but in other parts of Pennsylvania. So that's one of our roles and reasons why. But once again, we partner and seek to make connections with others, and we have a great parking lot, and it's nice and level. So that's how we were involved. Sue Miller, she connects with your folks and coordinates the ones that we do offer each year. We have about 4 of them.
And these blood drives don't overlap, right? They'll be at Center, but won't be at the library and Center Church at the same time.
Correct.
They're at different times. So that way people have more opportunities to give blood.
Absolutely. And we really need those opportunities because really only about 37% of the eligible population does give blood. So we need more people to step forward to help save lives. And we find that the biggest reason that people don't give blood is that they haven't been asked. So that's why we're grateful to you and both of you for asking your constituents to really help save lives.
So if you want to give blood, Karen, what are the qualifications for doing that?
We have to be healthy, and we do have some criteria in place to protect our donors as well as to protect our recipients. If you are in need of blood, your health is probably compromised. So if you have traveled to a malarial zone or a place where Zika is present, we do ask you to not donate for a year. Here's an interesting one, especially for younger people. Pennsylvania does not regulate its tattoo facilities. So if you've had a tattoo in our Commonwealth, we ask you to defer from donating for a year. Other states do regulate. That's something else that holds people back from donating. If you are taking certain medications, that's another one of the criteria that prevents people. Other than that, if you're healthy, there's no upper age limit. We have wonderful donors who are in their 80s and 90s and continue to donate with us, and we cherish them and really appreciate them.
And what about a lower age limit? You know, we have high school students here, there may be college students when they come home and there's a blood drive going on. Is there a lower age limit?
Yes, there is. Beginning at age 16, we do need parental consent, but then after that, you just come on in, donate. We give you juice and cookies, and you save 3 lives.
That's right. Oh, so one person's giving blood can save 3 lives.
That's right. You had mentioned at the beginning of our chat, blood has 3 components: red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. At our facility, we actually what we call manufacture the blood. After the blood's been donated, we separate out those 3 components, and each component goes to a different patient. So when you donate, you are helping 3 people survive.
So when you're giving blood and you're taking blood in, if you have a blood transfusion, you don't get the whole blood that's been donated, or?
It depends on what your
is.
need is. So for example, many people who are being treated for cancer need platelets, because if they're undergoing chemotherapy, the chemo drugs not only kill the cancer cells, they kill the platelets, and so they need to be replaced.
So we don't have to worry if you're 16 or older. You can give blood. You have to be careful of your health requirements.
Correct.
Keep that in mind. You don't have to worry about having a tattoo as long as it's been over a year.
That's right.
Then you're cleared to be able to give blood. And I understand that it's the blood of the younger people that is not as donated as much, I want to say, as those who have been maybe in the, I call them the greatest generation, or boomers, that we're looking for these millennials and Gen X and Gen Ys to give blood.
We are. That's a really good point that you bring up. We have many blood drives at high schools and colleges, and it's really easy to donate blood when all you have to do is walk out of your classroom down to the cafeteria or gym. Once people graduate from high school or college, that's where we see the drop-off, because people get busy. You know, first jobs, starting a family, very busy, and often don't have time to donate. Once things settle down, people do tend to come back to donating. And the greatest generation, as you mentioned, is our staple. Many generations ago, people just out of habit, because it was the right thing to do, donated blood. And that has fallen away over the years. We're not quite sure why that's happened. And we have not found the right message to get our Gen Z and millennials back into a regular donation habit. But we're working on finding that message.
Okay, so we're getting that word out. So when they go to Center Church and they want to give blood, what happens? Where are they supposed to go at the church? Can you kind of lead us through where they would go and what they would see?
Absolutely. So generally, we have this happen often. People will call the church directly to set up an appointment, and we always direct them to Vitalant. There to make an appointment with Vitalant, let them know that they're coming. I do know that people can come on the day even if they haven't made an appointment. When they arrive at the church, they'll go actually around the back of our building where we have 2 double doors where Vitalant is set up. It's the easiest access and the most direct way where they can meet folks when they first arrive. And then Vitalant takes over for them from there and walks them through the process. And generally when we have folks there, it's a long day for the folks from Vitalant who are there, but a number of folks come through the life of the blood drive when we have them.
Now, do you provide any volunteers from the church at all, or?
We do not.
Okay. So you're providing the space.
We provide space. We make sure it's clean and ready to go for folks. Bathroom facilities if anybody needs them, and we're available for anything that might come up and anything that's needed. That in any way that we have the capacity to help and to be a part of it, we are certainly there to help in any way.
So it's a nice outreach kind of mission for the church to provide this space and this opportunity for people.
Yes.
To give blood. Okay, so our next visit then would be to go to the library. And where do you hold those drives at the library?
We hold them in our multi-purpose room, which if you walk right in the middle of the library, make a right through our lobby. Restrooms are there, water fountain, a nice big room. Vitalant does provide all of the staff. Our custodian helps to help unload the truck in the morning a little bit and just kind of get the room ready, but very much done in the same way. We schedule ours usually around the holidays. We had one already on January the 2nd. Our next one is on May 27th, so we have that out there. But we do encourage people, like you said, to also sign up online, which maybe that helps the younger generation too, to use the website to schedule their donation slots. But we do have a lot of drop-ins. We actually had over 100 people donate last year. About 130 came, but some were rejected, for maybe illness or travel.
Deferred.
Sorry, not rejected. Yeah, that's a strong word. Deferred. Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to be taking a short break here, and when we come back, we'll learn a little bit more about when these blood drives are occurring in Peters Township, and also what Vitalant is as an organization, how it operates, gets its funding, etc. So we'll be right back with Tom, Kristen, and Myra after a few words. Well, welcome back. We're here with Pastor Tom Moore from Center Church, and Kristen Lane from Vitalant, and Myra Oleynik, the director of Peters Township Library, who are sharing with us how we can all get involved in giving blood here in Peters Township. So I think we'll just open up and go back to Center Church and find out when exactly do the blood drives occur at your location.
We have 3 opportunities every month. So on the first and third Thursday of every month, as well as the last Saturday, folks can come to our fellowship hall, which is where it's held, and those are every month.
So it's just standard operating procedure.
Yep.
That happens. That's really nice. So you get that 12 months out of the year at that location.
And we really try to do blood drives on a frequent basis, because then that fits into people's schedule, because everyone's busy.
So can a person go to Center every month and give every month, or is there like a limit to how much you can give during the year?
There's definitely a limit. If you're donating whole blood, which is the most common type of blood donation, that's the one that takes about 10 to 12 minutes, you can only donate every 56 days, because we want to let that blood replenish. If you're donating platelets, you can donate every week up to a certain limit. But platelet donation takes a little bit longer. It requires a machine. It's really fascinating. All of your blood, your whole blood, is taken out of your body in the machine that you're sitting right next to. There's a little centrifuge that removes the platelets, and then your plasma and your red blood cells are returned into your body. So only the platelets are in
So
the
you're just
blood
filtering
bag.
them.
That's exactly
and
right.
keeping them and giving everything back.
That's right. So that's a
interesting.
fascinating process.
Yes. Wow, technology's really coming
It
a long
is.
way.
It's just amazing.
And Myra, so how often do you hold these drives at the library? And I
Well,
know you have a special drive
Right,
there
we
too.
have a special one. As I mentioned, we have 4 a year, 3 that are scheduled usually in the winter, the spring, and then in the fall. And then we have an additional one. The Madalena Trey family comes, and they do what's called a replenishment blood drive. Their daughter was born in 2017, had some unforeseen circumstances and need for a lot of blood at that time. And so her family really wants to give back to the community. And so her mom schedules it usually in September. So you can look for that. We promote it on our website. We promote it with a poster on our door. The sign alongside McMurray Road will usually have any of our blood drives. But Madalena, we have her pictures around the library on the tables just to let people know that it's called a replenishment drive.
That's neat.
Oh, and another thing that they do is, for the other drives, there's often a little giveaway. I know on the May 27th one, we'll be giving away pirate tickets. They gave Pittsburgh Penguin neck warmers. There's sometimes a little incentive.
A little thank you.
A little thank you.
You can never thank someone enough for saving a total stranger's life.
Yeah.
But we like to have little thank yous every once in a while, just to say, we recognize the sacrifice that you've made, and here's just a small gesture of our thanks.
So they go to Fellowship Hall at Center, or they go to the multipurpose room at the library, thank you. What's the process? How do they walk in that room, and what happens?
Well, the first thing we do is make sure the donor is in good health, healthy enough to donate. So we do a little health history, and you can actually do that ahead of time, the day of your donation. And our medical staff asks a number of questions. Are you feeling okay? Have you had a cold? Are you taking any medications? once the donor ascertains that he or she is feeling good, then we take a tiny little drop of blood from your finger to make sure you have enough iron in your blood, hemoglobin, and you get that result instantaneously, and we find out if you have enough iron, because again, we really look out for the health of our donors. We do a mini physical. You get your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your heart rate, and we make sure everything's A-OK. Once you're ready, you sit down in our donor chair, and the process of donating itself, I mean, just the time you have the little needle in your arm, is only about 10 to 12 minutes. It's very, very short. The hardest part of donating is the anticipation, because you get that little stick, and after the needle's in, you think, is that what I was worried about, that little stick? But for some of us, me included, just the thought of somebody poking a needle in your arm, it's just unsettling. Once that part is over, it's a piece of cake. You can't even feel it anymore. So as I said, that's about 12 minutes. When we have your blood filled up in the blood bag, we call it a unit of blood. It's about a pint. Then we walk you over to our refreshment area. We ply you with cookies and juice, make sure that you're feeling well. And then you get a hug and a goodbye, and the knowledge that you've saved someone's life, 3 people's lives.
3 people's lives. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah.
So at the Vitalant is a nonprofit organization. And since you're nonprofit, where do you get the funding to be able to conduct your organization?
Well, we provide blood to hospitals, and blood is sort of like, you could equate it to a pharmaceutical. So hospitals charge their patient for pharmaceuticals, for treatment, and that is part of what you as a hospital patient pay for. So we like to say, we as a nonprofit, Vitalant as a nonprofit, does not charge hospitals for blood. We don't charge hospitals, but there is the manufacturing process, which I explained before. We have to separate it out. We have to test it to make sure it's free from bloodborne pathogens or viruses. You know, coronavirus is such a big issue right now.
Right.
So that's the cost that we pass on to the hospital.
And so obviously you have a facility.
We do. We have a wonderful big lab.
So you have to maintain the facility.
We do.
It has to
keep
be
the
paid
lights on.
for, right? You have paid staff, I'm sure, as well as volunteers.
We do.
Do you get grants and donate or any kind of donations from corporations or
we're working on
the
that
government
now.
or
We don't get anything from the government.
Nothing
from the government, but we do have a fundraising arm called the Blood Science Foundation, and this is a group of folks right in our building. They work with the large organizations in Western Pennsylvania to acquire grants that will help us get the word out. That's our biggest problem. We can't advertise. We can't have really big advertising campaigns because we are a nonprofit and we have very limited funds, and we like to put our funding towards transfusion medicine. So when we are granted funding to help us get the word out, we really treasure that and try to make the most of it.
So that's where organizations like Center and the library come in handy, because they're advertising in a sense for you.
That's exactly right.
I'm assuming you probably put it in your bulletin or your newsletter. Is there a sign that goes out on the...
When Vitalant does come, they bring a lot of the outdoor signage that lets people know what's happening at the church. But yes, it is posted on our website, in our bulletin, and in our weekly newsletter that goes out.
Do you have a Facebook page?
We do, and as I was sitting there listening, I'm going, that's one of those places where we haven't done it, and it would be very easy to help spread that word along.
We would appreciate that.
So donors come in, and some of them are accepted, and some of them are deferred. If you're a deferred donor, but you still want to help, is there any way that people who maybe just can't give blood because of their medical or health circumstances, how can they help and contribute to the Vitalant organization?
They can help by being a blood ambassador, a blood donation ambassador. And one thing we also like to say is, when you donate blood, you're not helping the Vitalant organization. You're helping that newborn baby in the hospital who might need a transfusion. You're helping that mom who is getting chemotherapy. You're helping that grandpa who might have had trauma or has an acute illness that requires blood transfusion, or that young person who has sickle cell anemia and requires constant transfusions. That's who you're helping. So we really like to paint the picture of the blood recipient, because that is who we as blood donors are helping.
And is there any one type of blood? I mentioned at the onset, the AB, and O. Is there any one blood type that you all prefer or get happy about when you over another?
we have blood royalty. Our O donors are very, very much in demand, and O negative is a very highly demanded blood, because everybody can accept O negative blood. O negative is a universally transfusible blood, and so when we have an O negative donor, we really cherish them.
And now you have a website, correct?
We do. It's vitalant.org, and on that website you can register to donate. You can find out where the blood donation centers as well as community blood drives are. We have 10 freestanding donation centers all over Western Pennsylvania, and then we have blood drives everywhere, in churches and libraries, in schools and corporations, associations. Every day there is a community blood drive somewhere.
So we need to step it up here in Western Pennsylvania so that we're not down by 50%, but we're back up to our prior levels, if not better, in providing and giving blood. So we really encourage all of you who are watching to spread the word and come to a blood drive, either at Center Pres or at the library or in other local communities. I know there are Vitalant blood drives all over.
Everywhere.
And we encourage you to stop by and to give and donate blood, because when you do, you help 3 people at once. I can't thank Tom and Myra and Kristen enough for appearing today and for sharing the information and for being involved in our community to help others.
So much.
We really appreciate you being here and giving us the perspectives and sharing the importance of donating blood here in our community with our audience. It's great to know that we do have residents of Peters Township who are willing to give blood so that others may live. You have shown us that a personal touch does indeed exist in our community, and many of us are blessed and fortunate to have the means and resources to provide a helping hand to others, and now one of those resources can be our own blood. I also want to thank Ryan Bonai and Kelsey Sylvester, Robin Hodgen Frick, and the students here at Peters Township High School media classes for their help in putting together this program. If you or your business or organization would like to become involved in Vitalant and their efforts to conduct a blood drive, please contact Kristen Lane or check out their website at www.vitalant.org. You can also contact Center Presbyterian Church here in McMurray, PA, and the Peters Township Public Library here in McMurray to find out when their blood drives are held at their buildings and to sign up for an appointment. Thank you very much for viewing this show, and remember that you too can reach out and help somebody in our community or local area just by giving blood. It's all about the personal touch.